Dun da 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 da! It's the L.D.E talk, starring L.D. Edwards, featuring the L.D.E orchestra, band, chorus, and the L.D.E dancers. And now, here's the star of our show, L.D. Edwards. Thanks, Randy. Hello, world. It's me, L.D. Edwards, and welcome to Don Bluth Movie History, the show where we celebrate the artistry and legacy of Don Bluth's films. Today, we begin with a journey into the 1980s, the decade that launched his unforgettable career. Let's start with his very first feature, The Secret of NIMH, inspired by Robert C. O'Brien's beloved book, Miss Frisby and the Rats of NIMH. An extraordinary cast brought these characters to life. Hermione Baddeley as Auntie Shrew, Derek Jacobi as the wise Nicodemus, Shannon Doherty, Jody Hicks, Will Wheaton, and Anna Fried as Miss Frisby's children. Dom DeLuise gave us Jeremy the Crow. John Carradine voiced the Great Owl. And Elizabeth Hartman gave a tender performance as Miss Frisby herself. Interestingly, the film rights had once been offered to Walt Disney Productions in 1972, but were declined. That decision opened the door for Don Bluth to direct his very first feature film, a bold step that changed animation history. This film also became a special milestone, as it was the only animated feature for both Elizabeth Hartman and Hermione Baddeley. Their contributions remain a cherished part of the movie's legacy. Released in the summer of 1982, The Secret of NIMH was met with critical acclaim, winning the Saturn Award for Best Animated Film. Though its box office return was modest, $14.7 million against a $7 million budget, it found lasting success through home video and international audiences. Now, 43 years later, The Secret of NIMH continues to inspire. Imagine the magic of a 43rd anniversary edition, celebrating the film that began Don Bluth's remarkable journey. Soon, it will have its 44th anniversary soon. Now, we move on to Don Bluth's second feature, An American Tail. An all-star cast brings these characters to life. Madeline Kahn as Gashi Mashimir, the wealthy German-born mouse of New York City. Neil Ross as Honest John, the Irish-born mouse with local charm. Pat Mussick and Kathy Ann Bauer as Fievel's new friends. Dom DeLuise as Tiger, the vegetarian cat. Amy Green, Erica Young, and Nima Passaroff as Fievel's family. And Philip Glacier as Fievel Mouskowitz himself. It's a cat unlike any other. Unexpected voices, surprising choices, and yet perfectly suited to the story. Aside from Dom DeLuise, who returned to lend his warmth to another Bluth film, many of these actors were new to animation audiences. For those hearing them for the first time, it was something special indeed. Production on the film began December of 1984 as a collaboration between Steven Spielberg and Universal, based on a concept created by David Kirshner. It's one of those behind-the-scenes stories you don't hear every day. You wouldn't expect it at first, huh? Originally, the idea was conceived as a television special, but Spielberg approached Don Bluth with a simple request. Make me something special like you did in NIMH. Make it beautiful. In a 1985 interview, Spielberg described his role as his first in the area of story, inventing incidents for the script, and now consists of looking every 3 weeks to a month at the storyboards that Bluth sent me and making my comments. Even so, this was Spielberg's first animated feature, and took time for him to adjust to the pace of animation, especially the realization that adding a 2-minute scene meant months of work and for dozens of artists. When the film was released on November 21st, 1986, it received mixed reviews from critics, but audience embraced it. It went on to gross over $84 million against a $9 million budget, becoming a major success. And now, as it approaches its 40th anniversary, its legacy is unmistakable. The film sparked an entire franchise, one theatrical sequel, a television series, and 2 direct-to-video follow-ups, all from that one little mouse's journey. That's about true. 2 years later, Don released my favorite movie, which is also his third feature, The Land Before Time. An all-star cast brings these young dinosaurs to life. Candace Houston as the tough and determined Sarah, Will Ryan as the timid and anxious Petrie, Judith Barcy as the gentle and cheerful Ducky, Burke Brines as Sarah's stern father, and Gabriel Damon as Littlefoot, the brave young apatosaurus at the heart of the story. Production on The Land Before Time began soon after the success of An American Tail, with Don Bluth once again teaming up with Steven Spielberg and Universal. This time, the concept centered on a prehistoric journey. Simple, emotional, and told through the eyes of young dinosaurs. It was a story meant to feel ancient and timeless, something that reached back before memory itself. Spielberg and Bluth worked closely throughout the development, shaping the tone, the characters, and the emotional core of the film. Spielberg wanted the story to feel universal, something children everywhere could understand without needing a single spoken word. That vision guided the early storyboards and the film's gentle poetic pacing. But the production wasn't without changes. The team worked tirelessly to balance the film's emotional weight with its sense of wonder. Scenes were refined, reshaped, and sometimes removed eternally to keep the story focused on the young dinosaur's journey. Animation of the scale, lush backgrounds, expressive characters, and sweeping prehistoric landscapes required enormous effort from the artists. When The Land Before Time was released on November 18, 1988, it was met with praise for its animation, music, and heartfelt storytelling. It opened the very same day as Disney's Oliver and Company, creating one of the most memorable animation weekends of the 1980s. Despite the competition, The Land Before Time earned strong box office numbers and quickly became a childhood classic for families everywhere. And as it approaches its 38th anniversary, its legacy is unmistakable. The film sparked a long-running franchise, multiple sequels, a television series, and generations of children who grew up knowing Littlefoot, Sarah, Ducky, Petrie, and Spike. All of that from one simple story about finding the Great Valley. 2 years later, Don released his next feature, All Dogs Go to Heaven, a film that blended comedy, adventure, and a surprising amount of heart. An all-star cast once again brought the characters to life. Burt Reynolds as the roughest dog, Charlie B. Barkin, Dom DeLuise returning as the loyal and lovable Itchy, Judith Barcy as the kind-hearted Anne-Marie, and Charles Nelson Reilly as the villainous Carface. Their voices shaped a story that moved between mischief, redemption, and unexpected tenderness. Production on the film began after Don Bluth and his team completed The Land Before Time, shifting from prehistoric landscapes to a whimsical, dreamlike version of 1930s New Orleans. The animators poured themselves into the film's musical numbers, its glowing color palette, and its blend of humor and emotion. It was a project that allowed Bluth to explore themes of second chances and the power of compassion. When All Dogs Go to Heaven was released on November 17, 1989, it opened the very same day as Disney's The Little Mermaid, creating another major animation showdown. Although the film received mixed reviews, it found a devoted audience and went on to become a beloved home video favorite for families everywhere. The film also carries a special legacy. All Dogs Go to Heaven features the final performance of Judith Barcy, whose voice as Anne-Marie brought warmth, innocence, and hope to the story. Judith was killed in 1988 at the age of 10 before the film was released, making this her last role. She was killed by her own father because he was jealous of her. This song, Love Survives, that you're listening right now, is dedicated to her. Her work remains one of the film's most cherished elements, a reminder of the joy she brought to every character she played. And now, as the movie approaches its 37th anniversary, its legacy continues to shine. It inspired a sequel, a television series, and generations of viewers who still remember Charlie, Itchy, and Anne-Marie with affection, a heavenly tale that has truly stood the test of time. Don Bluth Movie History is brought to you by the films he created throughout the 1980s. Remember to visit the classics he released during that decade on your favorite streaming service. Catch you later, podcast listeners. See you next time at the same place and same time, right here on Don Bluth Movie History.